My interview with Harriet Fraad, Occupy, Depression, and Capitalism. This is from Shalais. So let's see. Is this your interview, Shalais? Like you conducted this? Oh no, that's the title of the article. It's written by Kat Waters from the Democracy Chronicles. I sat down in person with Dr. Harriet Fraad, who works with the Marxian economist Richard D. Wolff, on Tuesday to discuss the conditions like depression that author and journalist Joanne Harry recently illustrated in his new book, Lost Connections. So she's a mental health counselor and hypnotherapist in practice in New York City. She is a founding member of the feminist movement and the journal Rethinking Marxism. For 40 years, she's been a radical committed to transforming U.S. and personal life. I'm not familiar with this woman's work, but I hope that her book is available for me to stream online. So let's get into this. Dr. Fraad talked about the significance of Occupy Wall Street. She talked about the emperor's new drug, exploding the antidepressant myth. She also talked about England is more sophisticated than we are. She did a study on loneliness in England and created the Minister of Loneliness. We talked about that. Capitalism comes in and sells people drugs. All right, so here's her quote on capitalism. Then capitalism comes in and it sells people drugs, weapons, testosterone cream because men no longer have family wages that allow them to be served by women. Capitalism creates the disaster and then sells things to deal with it that don't deal with it. Interesting. So yeah, I don't know anything about this woman. This is my first exposure to her. I have a feeling I might agree with some of what she says and not all of what she says. Like most intellectuals, you know, I agree with some of what they're about. I don't agree with everything that what they're about, but I'm just kind of doing a skimming the surface here. Rethinking Marxism. So yeah, I'll have to check this out. Thank you for sharing it. She is pro-Occupy, anti-capitalism, which I can get behind all that. Here's her quote on Occupy. The 99% and the 1%, people started to say no. It was a national effort to crush that movement. They changed the discourse and the language to discuss racism and sexism, but never class. Never why are some people so rich and other people are so poor. We discussed the blatant rigging of the system and how companies outsource jobs to cheap labor overseas. Donald Trump's Make America Great Again hats are made in China. So I would say that's the biggest success of Occupy, is the fact that we're finally looking in terms of the 1% and the 99%. And I would say that was hyper amplified by what's going on now, by the fact that we're realizing that we're really divided. We're not divided by Republicans and Democrats. We're not divided by the heartland and the coasts. We're not divided by the creatives and everybody else. We're divided by the haves and the have-nots. At the end of the day, that's really how we're divided. And Occupy, which I think Dr. Fraad kind of points this out, but also talks about, like, it seems like she's hinting they didn't go far enough when it came to classism, which, you know, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But either way, they initiated something, I would argue. And now we're starting to think through those lenses. And I think dividing the working class against each other was evil brilliance. Jesse points that out. I totally agree with you. And that's kind of what Trump did, you know, and not just Trump. I mean, you know, and that's what the corporate Democrats are doing. When they wag their finger at progressives, that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to turn people that are really on the same side of the fence, that are getting screwed over by the same system. They're trying to turn them against each other. And we need to not let it work. We're divided by the haves and the have-nots. That's really, at the end of the day, that's where the dust settles. And, you know, I don't know much about this woman's work, but I'm intrigued to learn more about it. And Shalais, thank you for introducing me to her. And I'll have to look into more. Hey guys, thanks for watching. That was a clip from Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means I log on to a stream and people tweet me articles over on Twitter at Ron Placone, or they use our Reddit subsection, which is just Get Your News On with Ron over on Reddit. And that's how we build the show. I'm seeing all these articles for the first time. We are literally getting our news on together. Follow me on Twitter at Ron Placone so you can participate. And this show streams live every Tuesday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please do tune in. If you want to support this show, you can do so over on patreon.com/Ron Placone, where for as low as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive podcasts every week, exclusive videos, free tickets to shows when I'm performing in your town, and more for as low as $1 a month. Please do consider it. Thank you so much for your support. This has been Get Your News On with Ron.